Hi guys. So thank you for joining the session. Um, please comment if you're able to hear me or you need me to change some things on the settings. Um, it's 1 p.m. now. We'll start in about 3 minutes. So please, when you come on, kindly just comment here, say hi, and let me know if you are able to hear me clear enough. And we'll get started. But thank you so much for making the time, and we'll get started shortly on the session. You can share the link with a friend and have them join as well. Okay. So please let me know if you can clearly hear me or if there's anything we need to change on the settings. We'll start in the next 2 minutes. And if you have any questions as well, you can please send those questions through, and I'll gladly answer them. So if you have any questions, please send the questions through. Just put a comment on it with the question that you have, and then I'll get to them in a bit. Okay, so we start in the next 1 minute. At exactly 1:05 p.m., we'll start the session. So please just bear with us. Let's get others to join in shortly. Then we start. Okay, so we'll be starting now. All right. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming to this Facebook Live session. So I know the group is Women in Tech Africa, but as you can see, I'm not a woman. So my name is Kingsley, and it's quite a privilege to have the opportunity to share sort of what has been my life or what I set out to do over the past 10 years. So I want this to be a very interactive session. As I speak, if you have any questions, you can ask, and I'll gladly answer them. So I'm Kingsley, and I'm the CEO and Chief Enabler of Kudigo Incorporated. And Kudigo is a company that we set out to help informal businesses in Africa be able to have a better appreciation of what their business works. So our business is in the area of developing software solutions for very informal businesses across the continent. That is what I'm doing now. That's my company now. But prior to that, I've run my other 2 startups over the past 10 years. So Kudigo is my 3rd company. And so and it's the only company that I managed to raise external funding for. So what that means is with my other 2 companies, it was all bootstrapped. Now, when we say bootstrap in fundraising terms, it simply means you use your own money to run your company. You run it as lean and mean as possible until you make revenue, and revenue now becomes what the company uses to run it. So Kudigo, in all through its lifespan, has been a bootstrap company, and that's how we've run it all throughout. Now, the first thing that I'd like to engage you on is really what it means to run a startup. So I always tell people that startups really doesn't mean you have a different business than what other people have out there. So every business, in my honest opinion, is a startup in its own right. Okay, so think about your provision stores out there. Think about any business at all. That business you see out there is a startup. Now, the distinguishing factor is your ability to be able to move that business beyond an idea stage to a business that has a proper framework in place, has proper structures in place, and is able to run itself. So say you pick a company like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola in its very early stages was a startup. Reason being they had no proper business model defined. They didn't fully understand what the business would do in the near future. They were still trying things out. So startups really are experimental businesses who are trying to experiment with various things they want to do. Now, your business can't be a startup forever. Your business can be a startup for only a defined period of time. Once you are able to get what we call product market fit. Now, product market fit simply means that you have an idea, you have a product, you've put it in the market, the people you are selling it to love the product, are able to use it. Once you achieve that, that in itself comes with you making revenue and being able to make money. Once you are at this stage, you are no longer a startup. Because at that point, you would not now have to just run it as a one-man company or a two-man company. You will have to have various systems in place to handle various aspects of what you do. So in my example, when I started my first company, it was just me. I was a business person, I was a tech person, I was a salesperson, I was the accountant, I was the legal person, I was everything. Now, at that point, it was fine because it was just me. I was trying to figure things out. But as the business grew and the business developed, I now had to get people in to do other things because that's what a proper business requires. So for every business that you see out there, if the business has not been able to achieve full product market fit, they've not been able to properly lay out structures. And these structures differ from either having a board in place or having various managers in place handling various things. Once you get to that point where you have all those structures in place, you are theoretically no longer a startup. Okay, and at that point, a lot of things come to play. So assuming, for example, you need to give out petty cash, and petty cash is money to be used to buy things in the office. Ordinarily, if you're a one-man startup, whenever you get out to go and acquire new business, the cost of doing that is cash that the company needs to reimburse you. Now, one thing people normally forget is that even if you are the founder of a company, you got the idea, you started it. Once the company is legally registered, you are no longer seen as the owner of the company in the legal sense. So the company in itself is a living and breathing organism as far as the law is concerned. So when you start a company and you are spending money getting the company to run, make sure that whatever money you are spending is captured as an expense by the company and not by you. Now, if you fail to do that, at the point when you choose to bring in external capital, external money, you will have a big problem. Because at that point, any investor will want to clearly distinguish from money that belongs to you and money that belongs to the company. I had this very funny issue when in one of my startups that I started, I got an investor who wanted to invest in me. And so this investor and I had a sit down. And once we sat down, she goes like, okay, I want to write you a check. And who am I writing that check to? And I go like, okay, well, write a check in my name, Kingsley. And she looks at me and asks me, why Kingsley? I'm like, well, it's my company, so write it in my name. And it was at that point that she now told me that, look, I'm not writing a check in your name because I'm investing in the company. So the check must be in the name of that company. So at that point, I couldn't raise that investment with that investor because I was not prepared to raise investment. Now, on the topic of preparedness for raising investment, every business. So for those of you who think that if a company raises $10 million, that 10 million is coming into your pocket, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but that is not true. Every business needs working capital. Now, when an investor is investing in your business, the money they are giving to you is supposed to be your working capital. So as CEO of your company, if anybody gives you even 1,000 cedis or $1,000, that money is not going to your personal account. That money is going to the business account and should be captured as a business working capital and should go to finance expenses related to the business. That money is not going to finance your personal expenses. So if you need to buy clothes, that investment will not buy you clothes. If you need to buy a house, that investment will not buy you a house. That investment will only fund things that a company does, which is why it is very important that when you start your company, you capture all the essential information as company expenses. So whatever it is, even if you are buying water, in this instance of you doing a transaction, make sure that that water is captured as a company expense. If you do not do that, you may never be able to attract outside investments. Now, when we started Kudigo, it was my own money and money from family and friends who we were using to run the company. Now, one of the key things you need to know when you start your company is that whatever business you start is your own idea. It's what you believe in. It's what you think will be the next Facebook or the next Google. Now, it is very wrong to expect everyone else to believe in that to the extent of putting their money into that. The only way you can get somebody to believe in it or put their money in it is to be able to show them beyond an idea that this really is something that will work. So if you have an idea now or you have a company that you've invested your all into it, and you are talking to people and they don't believe is the next best thing, that is fine. That is totally expected. That shouldn't dampen your spirit that your company or your business is bad. Now, the onus lies upon you to make sure that you do all the necessary things to prove that this is a real business. Because ordinarily, any investor who comes into your business is investing because they want to get their money back. Nobody gives you money to lose it. And the only way they will be able to be sure to a certain level that they'll get their money back is if you prove to them over time that, look, I started a business from nothing. We've done this. We've proven that. And we see this and that happening. This is the data to back it up. Once you're able to do that, any investor will be willing to invest in you. So in the instance of Kudigo, for over 2 years, we work with our own money, our own savings, family and friends savings, things that we had ourselves. We invested everything in the company. Now, at the point when we were raising funding, we're not just raising funding based on an idea. We're raising funding based on a product that was in the market, that was being used by various users, that people were paying us for that service. It was at that point that it appealed to investors. So the first thing is to be sure that your business is set up as a business and you are running it as a business and you have enough data to back up whatever idea or product you are selling. Now, number two, if you are raising capital and you are approaching investors, one of the key things you need to understand and be able to be certain on is the kind of people you want to invest in your business. So there are various types of investments that people do. There is what we call equity investment. There is debt investment. There is revenue sharing in investment that people do into your business. Now, the normal way of doing investment, so think about it this way. If, assuming I, Kingsley, I have money, right? And I want that money to make me more money, what I ordinarily would do is to put that money in a bank or buy some investment bonds at a bank so that I'll get returns on that money. It's the same concept with raising funding for your business. Anybody who is giving you even $1 expects $10 in return. So in that context, they also assess their risk as to whether this is a worthwhile investment and whether I will get that $1 back. Now, what you need to understand is that investing in a company, or in this context, a startup, is a huge risk for any investor. Because at the point when they give you the money, the investor is investing in you, the entrepreneur, although the money is not coming to your pocket. At the end of the day, the investor wants to believe that this guy or this lady is the person I know will be able to make me 10 times the money I've invested in them over a period. So you as the CEO, you as a business owner, you need to show that confidence. You need to be able to prove to that investor that, look, I am committed. I'm going to see this through for the next 10 years. And I can promise you that if I'm in charge, you get your money back. When we were raising funding for Kudigo, we encountered so many investors. In fact, I had over 10 investor calls with various people. When we closed our funding round, it was with 3 investors. And these investors were people we met at a very later stage. Now, what that told me and what that helped us to appreciate is the fact that not everyone who has money and wants to give you money is the right person for your business. The mistake we make in our part of the world is that because we feel without money, our businesses cannot survive, we rush to take any money that we get. Now, what now will happen to you is the money you take today, you will need to get more money tomorrow to be able to grow the business. In the very rare instances where companies are able to instantly make revenue and use that revenue to grow their businesses, they are not then in the need to raise follow-up funding. But in the situation where probably today you raise, say, $10,000 for your business, that $10,000 will only take you to a certain milestone. Now, after you hit that milestone and you do have the enough revenue to be able to grow from there, you need to raise more money. Now, at that point, your decision in raising your very first investment comes into question. Because in your very first investment that you raise for your company, at that point, it's most likely that your company is not highly valued. Now, I'll come to valuation later, and I'll explain to that what valuation means. But what you as the business owner need to be sure in making that decision for your first investment is to make sure that the decision you make by taking that first money will not affect you when you want to raise more money, or will not affect you when you want to probably list your company on the stock exchange. Because trust you me, if you make the wrong decision in taking any money that you get, your company might not live to see the light of day. So please, whenever you decide that you want to raise investment, whenever investors approach you, consider them on merit, consider them on what value aside money they will offer you, and consider them based on where you see the company 5 years from now. For us as Kudigo as a company, at the point when we're raising investment, we were already having business in Ghana and Nigeria. And at that point, we instantly saw what the company will become in the near future. So that informed us in the kind of investment we raised. And that's the reason why most of the investors we engaged with, we didn't take their money. Because in taking their money, it would have brought the company, it wouldn't have helped us to grow the company to be as valuable as we envisage it to be. Now, the other thing you need to consider is how you value your company. A lot of investors you engage with will always ask you, okay, if I'm giving you X amount, what valuation you are coming at? Valuation simply means, if you say, for my context, I'm a software entrepreneur, so I deal with software products, which are not physical stuff you can quantify. So if I say maybe I've built an app like WhatsApp, and an investor asks me how much do I value that particular product, that valuation should not come from the point of, well, I paid a developer $200, so that particular company I have is worth $200. That is not how you value your company. You value your company based on what the company will make. And that projection is based on what you've done as of now. So say your startup is a company that builds something like WhatsApp. That's at the time you are raising investment, that application had only 5 users. Your valuation is between the 5 users you have now and the 5 million users you have in 2 years' time. And based on that, you compute your validation. Now, there's a whole math around that, and I'll strongly advise you to find a mentor, somebody who understands investment, and let them educate you on this. In fact, if you do not have anybody to educate you, just do a simple Google search on how to value your company, and you'll find a lot of materials on that. Once you go through those materials, you will understand what valuation to give to your company before you raise funding. When raising funding and an investor asks you what the valuation is, you are required to give them a number. They are also expected to tell you that valuation doesn't make sense. and they'll beat that number down. Now, all those things are negotiation tactics. It's a back and forth affair. But you, as the business owner, or you and your team, should have a number where you say, look, we believe our company is worth 10 million. This is the valuation where we're raising the funding, and we'll go lower than that. For us at Kudigo, when we're raising our investment, we had a valuation cap. We said our company is worth this amount. So I know you've all heard on our media portal that we raised $450,000 in investment, which is true. Now, at that investment that we raised, our valuation cap was $4 million. What that means is, as at the time we signed on that dotted line, Kudigo as a company was worth $4 million. And for any investor who was coming in, that evaluation at which they will come in at. Now, mind you, that $4 million didn't mean that we had $4 million sitting down. Or like if you sold Kudigo today, you will instantly get $4 million in cash. What we had was we had enough revenue, we had enough traction, we had enough users for any investor to compute and say, okay, this company a year from now will be worth $5 million. As such, if I put in this amount, I will get my return on it. So always have a valuation cap which you won't go lower than. Now, what that instantly does for you is it will knock out a lot of investors. Now, another thing you need to know is that investors, most of them, if not all of them, are very bullish. They will come in to bully you. They will tell you things that will make you wonder whether the choice of starting your business was even right. I had an investor who at a point told me that, well, he's seen what we've done before and he knows for sure that it will not work. At the end of the day, what I always tell my fellow entrepreneurs is that everybody has an opinion about your business. In fact, everyone, even people who have not paid a salary before, will have an opinion about your business. And it's good to have opinions. It's good to take in those opinions, but do not let those opinions shape what you think about your business. Do not let someone else's opinion, if even it's an investor, change how you think about your business. When you get opinions from investors and they tell you things, they are saying it from the point of, it's really like a bargaining thing. It's like you're in the market trying to buy something. You're bargaining with the person. As you guys bargain, it's a matter of who can bargain best. So if the investor is telling you all these things, if you didn't believe it was worthwhile, why is he wanting to give you money? So you should know that it's a bargaining thing. And you need to know at what point you won't bargain below. And do not go below that point. Do not compromise on that at no point in time. Now, somebody asked a question as to how to identify an investor who wants to bully you, or somebody who wants to bully you, or a bad investor. Now, a bad investor, in my opinion, is an investor who just comes in to drop money on the table and go away. Let me give you an example that applies to Kudigo. When we first started Kudigo, there is a Ghanaian investor who, this person I'm talking about, is very wealthy in Ghana terms. In fact, even in Africa terms, this person has a lot of money, lots of assets. And I knew this person personally. So I engaged this person and I said, okay, fine, this is my company. This is what we are doing. I want you to invest in me. Now that person now told me he loves me, he loves my company, he loves the idea, and was going to give me $5,000 for about 50% of the company. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. At the time I was having that interaction with that person, I didn't have $5,000 to my name. I didn't have $5,000 in my account. But I understood at that point that that $5,000 was not being given to Kingsley. It was being given to a company called Kudigo. And that company, even at that point, when we had only a handful of users, was worth more than $5,000. That was the first thing. The second thing is $5,000 for 50% of the company simply tells me that if somebody else comes in to give me $10,000, I'll end up having to lose my company. So at that point, I had to decide for myself whether, because I'm hungry for money, I would take the money, or I'll reject that money, go sit back, grow the business to a point where it will raise enough money for it to run itself. So that's a decision you will have to make. And that, in my opinion, is what a bad investor. Never take money from an investor who gives you only money. Because for a startup, for any company you are starting from the ground up, you will need someone who will be there to take your calls every other day, give you advice on what to do aside giving you money. So for us at Kudigo, all our current investors, they are available to us 24/7. One of my investors is even on this live stream right now, although I won't mention the person's name. It's a lady. So there's a lady on this live stream now who is one of our investors. So I advise you to even pitch your business on the comments, because I'm sure she's looking out for other businesses as well. But all our investors that we have now, we have calls with them every other week. They are checking up on us, and that's what we require from all our investors. So any of the investors who we didn't go with were people who were just in there to give us money. And they thought this was a treasury bill. Mind you, a startup is not like buying treasury bills. A startup is not like buying treasury bills. If you are investing in a startup, you are investing both your capital and your resources as well. So do not take money from someone who will give you just money. Trust me, you will need more than money to grow your company. You will need more. The effort alone is more than just the money. So do not take money from anyone who will give you only money. Now, when Kudigo was raising funds, we raised our funds using a format called equity investment. Now, equity investment simply means we're giving up a stake in our company in return for capital in the company. Now, in raising equity investment, there are various forms of doing it. The structure of what we did is what in investment terms is called a convertible note or a SAFE. So you can Google all that online. Google what a convertible note is or a SAFE is. Now, what this sort of structure offered us was the fact that we got investors who believe in us beyond just giving us money. Because if you invest in a convertible note, it's simply saying that you have X amount of equity in the company, but that equity will convert in a year or two. Now, that simply helps you and the investor to all work together to get that company to still be alive in a year or two. Because if I'm investing in you and I'm giving you $100,000 as a convertible note or in a SAFE agreement, and what now happens is that my investment will be mine in the next 2 years, I will not want the company to fail before those 2 years are due. And that's one of the things you need to be very conscious about, the sort of agreements you go into and how your company is set up. Now, again, from the very onset, I understood so for me personally, I've done this for a long time and I've made so many mistakes, so I learned from those mistakes. One of the things I understood is that I needed to raise investment from people outside Ghana, people outside this territory, mostly people who understand how startup funding works. Now, our market in Ghana or in Africa is still very young. So what we did from the onset is to put structures in place that ensure that when we're raising investment, our investors, when putting in their money, will be comfortable. And this has to do with tax laws and all those other things. So we set up our company as a Delaware C Corp. So Kudigo is a company as a Delaware C Corp, just like how you have Facebook and Google, based as a company incorporated in the US. And we have limited liabilities in Ghana as well, which runs the company. So this we did from the very onset. So all our structures that we had in place was designed in a way that will enable the company to scale, which is not right now we have another company in Nigeria. We could easily open another company in Kenya, but then that doesn't change how our investment is structured. So I again advise you, if you do not understand all these things, Google it. If you still do not get it, find somebody who will help you out. Because trust me, when you finally start raising money, all these things become very important to you. And nothing stops you from being a Ghanaian and owning a company in the US or in Ireland or in Mauritius or anywhere else in the world. In fact, companies like Google, companies like Facebook are incorporated in Ireland, in the UK, or somewhere like that. And all is based on how the company is expected to grow and the potential for the company. So please, make sure that the decision you make on your company incorporation has your ability to scale in mind and what the future holds for your company. And do not compromise on any of those things. Now, so what we did when we were raising investments, what we tried to do was we engaged with a lot of investors. And these were through our network that we have. So if you are on this live stream and you see yourself as a professional in whatever field you are doing, and you've not created a LinkedIn profile for yourself, please stop watching this video right now and go create a LinkedIn profile. Don't just go and put your picture on LinkedIn and leave it as it is. Create a profile on LinkedIn that tells people exactly who you are professionally. Because I will tell you for a fact, my very first investor, the very first person who put a penny in Kudigo is somebody I met on LinkedIn. This person is a US person. It's an American. He's not part of my family. I don't know him from anywhere. He saw me on LinkedIn. Based on what my profile said on LinkedIn, he came to Ghana and we met. And through that relationship, he invested in Kudigo. So do not think you need to now go and see some investment banker to give you an investor. You can create that network for yourself by having that professional profile there for you and keep that profile professional. Connect with people who are relevant to what you do. Do not go on LinkedIn and be posting selfies of yourself. Make sure you write articles about what you do, what professional capacity you are in. Now, once you do that, you open yourself up to a network of people. It's not just about physical networking events that you can network and attract investors. So please, if I can give you one advice that will help you, create a proper LinkedIn profile that speaks to who you are, your vision, what you are doing. So our very first investor was somebody we met through LinkedIn. And he, in essence, at the time he was putting it in his money, believed in me as a person. Now, that belief there is something that you do not want to compromise on. And again, all investors who invest in seed stage companies. Now, a seed stage company is basically, so what I've come to appreciate is the fact that the whole investment discussion or the whole investment industry is still around how we grow things, how plants grow. So before you grow something, you plant a seed. So when you raise your first money, it's considered as a seed investment. And so the money he was putting in was a seed investment into the company. Now, not only did he put in his money, he also exposed that to a network of other investors who were willing and were interested in doing seed investments. Now, what we now have to do is to make sure that we started structuring the company to raise money. So, for example, making sure that our systems were compliant with whatever legal regime there was, all our financials was done properly, our customers were being captured properly, and sending periodic updates to everyone in our network. So make sure that, look, you put together a standard presentation that you have. It can be a 10-pager on what you want to raise. Send that to everyone in your network. Make sure that you publicize your business in every means you can. You can't tell me you're a tech company and your company doesn't have a website. And other thing you need to know is that as CEO, you can't do everything yourself. If you want to run a tech startup and you don't know tech, that shouldn't stop you. Kudigo as it is now, the product as you see it, I didn't write a single code into that product. I'm a programmer, but I didn't write a single code into that product. I found people, co-founders, independent contractors who are engaged to build that product. What people fail to realize is that to build a successful company has nothing to do with the technology itself. Before Facebook, there was MySpace, there was High Five. Where are all these companies now? If your company will be successful, it's dependent on the business itself, how the business is structured. And if you want to raise investment, it will come from how your business is structured, not the awesomeness of your app, not how beautiful your user interface looks like. It will all come from how you structure your business. So please, always focus on that and grow that. Now, it's very challenging to raise funding in Africa, that I will admit, for a lot of issues. So if it takes a company in the US 2 months to raise investment, for you, by virtue of the fact that you are in Africa, might take you 2 years, might take you 3 years, or even longer. Do not let that discourage you. Like I said before, you should live and breathe your business. You should believe in your business. And you should be comfortable. You know, let me share this with you. I've been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years. And in that 10-year period, for the world part of, say, 7 years, I was never getting salary. Like, honestly, if I show you my bank statement, all my previous companies, as I was growing them, never paid me salaries. Because at that point, as the business owner and as the CEO, I could easily see that, look, the money we have now, if I start paying myself what I'm worth at that point, the company will not grow. So for a very long time, for well over 7 years, I never took salary. For most of that time, I was always broke. And for me, it wasn't because I was trying to prove a point. I was trying to show that I'm a tough guy. It was because I had a very strong conviction, which I still have, that this thing that I'm doing, this thing that I'm trying to start, I'm trying to create, goes beyond me. And I had to make sure that I went through that phase. So at a point when my other businesses were making enough money to pay me. Now, even at that point, I wasn't paying myself an outrageous salary because I was growing a business. So if you are a CEO and your revenue every month is $10,000 and you choose to pay yourself $5,000 as a CEO, I can give you this free advice. Your business will not survive. You need to make sure that you live within your means, the means within which your business can accommodate. Eventually, when your business gets to a point where it's that profitable, all the money that you want to earn, you earn it. So do not try to strive for instant gratification. Even with Kudigo, after raising money, that didn't change my salary structure. That didn't change how much I'm paid every month. So for those of you who are my friends who have been messaging me to send them over money or send them some money, well, sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm not richer today than I was a year ago. My company Kudigo is worth a lot. But myself as Kingsley, I'm still worth what I was worth a year ago. And that's fine. Because a year from now, Kudigo will be worth more. And as Kudigo is worth more, I'll get to earn more. And I'll get to also be worth more. Eventually, 5 years from now, if I choose to sell my shares in Kudigo, I expect to probably sell it for maybe 100 million or 200 million. And that now becomes my money. But until that happens, if I choose to instantly pay myself $1,000 a month, my company will not survive. So always be conscious of all these things. Raising money in Africa is difficult. You will need to try so many avenues. So look at joining a lot of networking groups like Women in Tech Africa. Look at doing a lot of engagements within your space. Put yourself out there. Post articles about your business. If you go on my blogs that I have, I always try as much as possible to every 2 weeks write a blog about my business, about what I do. Because for people who are looking to invest in you, who do not know you, they will go on Google and go and do a research for companies in Africa, startups in Africa, influencers in Africa within this space. Now, if you are not putting enough content about yourself out there on the internet, they won't find you. So if every day you are posting on Facebook saying good morning, saying how are you doing, do that as well for your business. Once a week, write a blog about what you are doing with your business. Write a blog about what you are doing with the products you are offering. Write a blog about what people are saying about your product. Eventually, that will pay off. You can also engage in a lot of startup competitions. It helps, but what I've seen happen is most people go into competitions for competition's sake to win awards and win accolades. Now, I always tell you this for free. If you want to grow a sustainable company, do not focus on accolades. Do not focus on getting certificates, because it won't get you anywhere. Focus on growing the business. Only enter competitions or startup competitions that will instantly give you back what you need to grow your business. Do not go into it for going into its sake. All right, so I'm going to pause now and I'm going to answer some of the questions that you've posted in the comments. So I see a question here from, okay, let me see the questions. Okay. So I've answered a question on how to identify who a bad investor is. I've told you about that. I've also talked about how we started our company as Kudigo and how we raise investment. Okay, I see some other questions here. Okay, how different is the investor scene in Africa against the rest of the world? So let me tell this interesting story, right? This interesting story from us. So about 8 years ago, or I think 9 years ago, when I first set out to start my first company, for like 2 months, I was just researching and writing a business plan. Now, after this session, I will put an article out on my very first business plan. That was my very first company. I wrote that business plan, I printed it, and I went around looking for investors. Now, mind you, at that time, I didn't know what even investment was. So I went to the Venture Capital Trust Fund in Ghana. I went there, and at that time, they had an institution called the Ghana Angel Investors Network. I was one of the very first companies who pitched to the Ghana Angel Investors Network for investment. My very first idea that I had, I went to them, made them like, look, I have an idea. I had no product. I have an idea. I think it's a great idea. Give me money to put into that idea. Now, I went to Gain. I went to a lot of other investment firms I knew around Accra, all through research, right? And none of them gave me money. None of them gave me money for my very first company. And that day when I came back home, I cried and I was very sad because I had quit my job thinking I'm going to start a company. The idea in my head was so good, I still didn't understand why they didn't get it. Because as far as I was concerned, that idea was going to make them so much money. But they said no to me. And I'm happy they did say no to me because that idea was not going to make anybody any money. I came to realize that at a later time. But then after that experience, I still went ahead, took all my savings, started my very first company called Pentium Tech. At that time, that was in 2009, 2010 thereabouts, I had about 9,000 CDs saved up. I took it all, went to rent an office space, employed people, thinking I had a great idea to run this company. 6 months down the line, I had to shut down the company because the business model was not going to work. I had no money. I was broke. All my employees left me. And what that made me appreciate is the need to properly plan and properly understand what it takes to run a business. I've made that mistake. You don't need to make that mistake yourself. And as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's hard. It's quite hard for us to sort of accept the fact that we failed. Now, I'll tell you this for free. The earlier you fail, the better for you. Because if you wait so long to fail in what you are doing, that is disastrous. Fail very fast. Fail as fast as you can. And do not do the same mistake twice. My very first idea I had was to run a company that was able to offer outsourced software talent to people outside Ghana. Because I've seen that lots of people outside Ghana would like to give jobs to freelancers. So I had an idea where I was going to accumulate all these freelancers who will sit here in Accra and be able to outsource jobs and bring the jobs in for them to do. There were so many things I didn't consider in that understanding of what I wanted to do. It was not going to work. It took all my savings, 6 months, totally broke, and never worked. I was able to identify that probably, maybe, I think it's earlier, but 6 months is a very long time to fail, right? And so don't do that. But then after that 6 months, I shut down the company because I could see what was going to make me money. Do not sit for 3 years believing in something that is impossible. Stop what you're doing. Learn from the experience and move on to something else. Do not stay on that same thing forever, because that's the only way you can be able to grow. So somebody's asking whether do you necessarily need to fail? Well, the answer is, you see, failure doesn't mean you as a person you failed in life, if I'm to put it that way. Okay, a business is a business. A business is not personal. It's not personal. Like, look, at a point in my life, I was very emotional about my business. Like, if you talk wrongly about my business right now, I will cry and I'll hate you forever. But I had to understand that I needed not to bring emotions into my business. So if I had a business model and that business model was wrong, that is failure for the business model, not failure for me. For the business model and not to you as a person. Because you need all the confidence you can get to be able to grow the business. Sorry, it looks like my internet connection is a bit slow here. Please bear with me whilst we rectify this. Please comment if you are able to see me. If you're able to still see the stream. I'm getting some feedback here that the connection had paused a bit. Please confirm if you're able to see me now. If you can comment that the stream is back. You can still hear me. Okay. So if you can still hear me, that's fine. So yes, it's good to fail, but the failure is not about you as a person. It's about the business model you were running and being able to identify that that business model at a point in time is failing and you need to change that. All right, now another question coming through from Selassie. So at what point do you know the business model is not working? Well, Selassie, you will know when you are broke. You understand, right? You will know when. So look, a business is a business, and every business is in to make profit. That you need to understand. A business is a business. Every business is in to make profit. No business is in to make a loss. So if at a point you realize that your business is not even getting to a point to break even. Now, break even simply means if I invest $1,000 in my business, I should eventually make $1,000 back. Now, that takes some time to get that done. And it's fine to probably run a business for a couple of years before you break even. Now, as a startup, you need to set clear targets. And those targets should let you know whether the business model is failing or not. So, for example, if you say you are an app, like a WhatsApp, for a WhatsApp to get, you need users. For WhatsApp to get work, you need users. Now, if after 6 months, you develop an app good as WhatsApp, after 6 months, it's only being used by yourself and your family members, that means something is wrong somewhere. And it's the business that is wrong. So you now need to now sit down and see what you are doing wrong about that business model and correct it. You understand? So the business model instantly tells you what you need to do to either make revenue or gain traction, get users to use your solution. So that is what you always need to look at when you are running a business and trying to raise money for your business. So honestly, you only know that your business model is successful when you either break even or are profitable. All right. So once you are breaking even and you are profitable, that means the model you are running is successful. Now, business plan ready and what that takes to do. So look, I have a business plan. I learned this as well in my journey, right? Write a business plan, okay? But trust me, your business will evolve beyond that business plan. A business plan lets you see from a bigger perspective what the future holds. In the beginning stages, you won't see that. So it's important to be able to have very little targets, very little KPI for your business. For example, Kudigo's business plan over the next 5 years will see us roll out about 10 different products. But for now, we have just one product. And that is what we're focusing on. So have a business plan, but have a business model that sees you grow that plan. Now, Sanam is asking whether Kudigo ever pivoted. Yes, we've pivoted several times. And it's important to always know when to pivot as a startup. So for example, when we first started Kudigo storefront, Kudigo as a solution, our pricing model was very different. We earlier on realized that we had to pivot that to align what the market wants. I can count about 8 or 9 pivots that we've done on the product and on the business itself. And for a startup, and I'll repeat it, for a startup, the advantage you have is the ability to pivot very fast. For big corporates like Nestle and Co., pivoting will mean a whole lot of processes because they are an established entity. But for you as a startup, once you see the business model not working, pivot to do something else until you find the right solution. Once you see the model is not working, pivot. Change the thought process, change how you do it until you find the right solution. Now, somebody is asking, how many years should you break even as a startup? Well, let me give you free advice. Even when we've all heard about Jumia's IPO, right? Jumia, right? Well, Jumia has not broken even yet. And they are 10 years in the making. Every business is different. Every business is different. Some businesses break even in a month. Others break even in a year. Others break even in 10 years or in 20 years. For you as a business owner and with your management and all that, you need to now put together structures and your business model will tell you when you will break even. So breaking even there is no set time that you break even in a year, or it's all dependent on your business model and how you run it. Okay, so our 1 hour is almost due. I'll take 2 more questions, and then we can end this session. And you can message me on LinkedIn if you need me. So, like I said, LinkedIn is your power tool to attract investors because they are all there. Any serious investor who wants to find companies or people to invest in will first go on LinkedIn and go and search for them. And you should be seen as an expert in your space within LinkedIn. All right, so if there are no more questions, we'll be ending the session shortly. I really hope it was insightful to everyone. And we at Kudigo, we are very excited about our business. We literally live and breathe it. The entire team here. And so I'm going to put a link to my blog. Well, Selassie is asking how much Kudigo is worth now. So Kudigo, when we raised our funding, the valuation was at 4 million. But I can tell you for free that as of today, we are worth more than that. And by end of year, we will share some more news on our new valuation, which will come with a new investment round we are currently working on. So yes, technically, Kudigo now is worth over $4 million as a company. And that is where it is at now. And we are very grateful to our investors and to all our mentors, Ethel, Letitia, Nehemiah, all the people who always take my calls and give me advice. And it's very important to us that we have these people around us. And to everyone, I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's a very lonely journey. It's a very, very lonely journey. So whatever you are going through as an entrepreneur, as you're running your business, I understand. I actually do understand the sleepless nights and all that, but that's the life you chose. And that's the life you chose to work with. And that's the life you chose to live. Just believe in that. Now, final question on how much information you should share with potential investor. So always see, one thing I've always appreciated the fact that do not think somebody will steal your idea, because the business is not the idea. The business is you. So when communicating with an investor, share as much information as is needed from that investor to be able to understand your business. And do not be afraid to share a lot with investors. Trust me, nobody can steal your idea. Even if they steal it, they'll not be able to influence the way you will. Because running Kudigo as it is now is 40% the business model and 60% the team's personal and emotional commitment to make the business work. So it's not all about the money or all about the idea. It's about the people, and not just me, my entire team. Everybody must even embrace the business, and that's the only way you will succeed. So share as much as you need to share with anybody else. Talk about your business with people. Talk about, don't be afraid. Talk about it. Nobody can steal it. Even if they steal the idea, they can't do it the way you would do it. So thank you guys so much for joining this live session. I see a lot of comments, a lot of feedback. I appreciate it. And hopefully next time we will do another one with the Women in Tech Africa team. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Just look for Kingsley Abrokwa. And I'll post my blog as well on LinkedIn. And there are people here I would like to thank. Again, have good friends like Alfred, and follow Alfred as well on LinkedIn. Alfred is like one of the people I really respect a lot. And follow their journeys. Follow people like Paul on LinkedIn and all these other people. Find people in your network. Look, as entrepreneurs, we need people who understand us. So sometimes, we have all these hangouts where we just talk about problems, right? It's fun because you need that. It's more of like therapy, that you need to go to every now and then. So have friends, have people around you who understand what these things are and talk about it. Okay, and I wish you all the best in your business ventures. And if I can ever help you, just reach out to me and I'll be glad to help you out. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.